nice. It's freezing cold outside. The sun's starting to come over the hill. I've got to get the plow truck back on the road. The things that I'm going to focus on is getting the front end. I'm going to put an added leaf in that front end. Now the leaf spring that I'm going to add to the existing leaf spring is actually off of Rhett's truck. It's the same width span, same width, a 3-inch wide spring. And it's basically the same thing as an added leaf. It doesn't cost me $80. I've got it, I can reuse it. But I've got to get the front end off the ground to get that done first. Once I can do that and try and raise that front end a little bit, and the reason I want to do it is because the weight of that snowplow they're notorious for wearing out vehicles, but it's caused the front end to camber in. And it's too heavy. It's just too heavy for the front end. The truck only has like 100,000 miles on it, but I would guess that most of those miles was behind a snowplow. Once that's done, I need to replace the rams on the snowplow. The rams leak. The guy that I bought it from actually had all the replacement parts to do it, but he never did it. I need to replace those rams. Then I need to fix an exhaust leak. And I think there's two things going on. I think the catalytic converter is blocked, so I'm probably just going to cut it out and weld a piece of pipe in there. This thing's never going to see the highway. It's never going to leave the area, so I don't really care if it meets any emission standards. And then there's something on the header that's leaking as well. And if you guys remember, about this time last year, I took the truck down to the exhaust shop in town, and I was going to have the guy down there. I called him, he said he would do it. I limped the truck down into town with the chains on it, and when I got there, he refused to do it. So now I'm gonna fix whatever I have to fix, and I think I'm gonna have to pull the exhaust manifolds off the truck to fix it properly. But the reason I'm doing this is this truck is almost unbearable to plow in. The exhaust leak is so bad, it just gives you the worst headache. I want this thing to be safe, dependable, reliable. And so it's a good time to get all this done. It looks like we've got a week or so. There's a little bit more snow coming in, but nothing significant. So I've got a good window here to get this done. When it rains, it pours. It seems like these things happen in threes. The plow truck's down. The backup generator's not working. And it's snowing like crazy. For the last year or so, we've learned to live with the backup generator. Over summer, it's almost never used, but we typically would hear it about once a week when it would go through its maintenance cycle for 20 minutes, then shut off. Now that we're getting into winter and we're having these storms day after day, the inverter tells the generator to kick on at about 35%. It runs for about 2 hours, brings the battery bank back to 100%, which is typically all the power we need for the next 24 hours. The other day while I was working in the shop, the generator had been running for a couple of hours, and I knew it was about to shut off, and just as it seemed to reach that point where it should have shut off, the generator began to sputter,
it sounded as though it was running out of fuel, and I quickly found my way over there and manually turned the generator off. The battery bank was at 100%, so we had at least a day to figure this out. I got online, did as much research as I could. The end result is I have not been able to get the generator fired back up. The generator really shows no fault codes, so I've got to do a little bit more work. It could be as simple as a spark plug, but I've got a service technician scheduled just to be safe. In the meantime, I'm trying to get the plow truck back to 100%. I want it to be safe, I want it to be usable, as it seems we're going to have a bad year with snow.
We are about 2.5 hours away from another big snowstorm. I had to run around town both yesterday and today finding all the parts I needed to get the truck finished. I finally have the parts to fix the suspension and the exhaust leak, but not the plow. So depending on how much snow we get today, it might get a little interesting.
The front suspension was getting more and more worn out, and I had the idea that I would take the old leaf springs off of Rhett's truck, cut them up, and make them work on the front of the plow truck. And by doing this, it should get the front end up higher than what it was stock.
You ever wonder if days like these last with one another, with the feeling pass? Would you find out with me if it all starts to crumble? We'll search the pieces for a hope or a mumble. It's not for me to decide if I should be the one by your side. And hope we know when it's better to say goodbye. You ever wonder if we know
Three inches.
what's best
Sweet. It was 35 inches when I started, now it's
for
39.
one another? Are we just another project? We're both fixer-uppers, just waiting to crumble. If we search the pieces, would we be bitter, humble? It's not for me
So this is more than an inch an hour that it's snowing right now. I got the lift finished on the truck. I'm about to weld the section in for the catalytic converter. But I still haven't fixed the exhaust leaks up front. And I still haven't figured out what's going on with the snowplow. All of a sudden, the snowplow is unresponsive. So I'm hoping that it's a fuse. That's what I'm hoping. But the truth is, if this storm was to continue, it looks like it's only going to hang around for 4 or 5 more hours. But if it was going to continue into the night, into tomorrow, I'd be in a tight spot because this is enough snow that I really need to hit the road with the plow truck. But I'm just going to keep working on the plow truck. That's all I can do. So. All right, I got the plow truck all figured out. I think there's a bad solenoid in it. I'm also going to change out the battery and put a really good quality battery in there because of how much this thing depends on the battery. I put all new straps on the chains. The only thing I haven't done is change the rams on the front of the plow. And then I'm good to go. The only thing I really haven't figured out is where in the heck the exhaust leak is coming from. These the smog EGR systems on these trucks are notorious for leaking. I just can't quite figure out where it's at, so I'll have to work on that tomorrow in the daylight. And oh yeah, by the way, we're having generator problems too. My brand new Kohler generator. Typically, the snow in Idaho has a tendency to be light and fluffy and frankly easy to manage with a plow truck. When it's dry snow, it's easy to plow it the way that it needs to be plowed. When it's wet and sticky like this, it can be very difficult to manage in a lot of ways. It typically takes me less than 10 minutes to clean the solar panels, and on this day, it took me about an hour. By the time I was finished, my hands and feet were on the verge of frostbite, and the rest of my body was overheating. I had to go inside and sit down for a minute. I decided to take my battery from the generator into town and get it tested, possibly swap it out as it was still under warranty. I was hoping it would be as simple as this for the generator. I like all things diesels. I love my truck. Hopefully someday I'll hand it down to one of my kids or grandkids. But the old Cummins diesels do not have glow plugs. They have an intake heater, and those motors were designed to run in cold weather. My truck starts with minimal effort in the cold weather. I don't plug my block heater in. I always let it run and get warm before I go anywhere with it. Cedar and I are trying to decide what her next vehicle is going to be. We've been looking very close at four-door Jeeps, but recently we started looking at the newer Jeep Cherokees that have a diesel motor in them. These motors have glow plugs, and I wonder how they would do up here, but we're leaning in that direction, and she's looking forward to getting something new. Her old Toyota is getting worn out. I have 3 different generators that are prepared to be used at any given time. The 8 kilowatt Kohler generator is attached to the house. Then I have 2 more portable generators.
Well, we are now at the mercy of the sun. Nothing else I can do. I'm sure there's no way I can get a generator technician out here today. It's ridiculous. When it rains, it pours.
For the last few days, we've been using the 5 kilowatt generator to keep the food cold in the fridge and the freezer, and to just use for the bare minimums as we need to.
All right, we're still fighting the solar generator problems. We're basically using the backup generator, keeping the food cold in the fridge, in the freezer, running the water heater, minimal stuff. The sun came out for like 45 minutes this afternoon, but it obviously wasn't enough to charge the battery bank. So I've got a service tech scheduled to come out hopefully Tuesday. And the issue with the Kohler generator, it said low frequency shutdown. That was the last thing that it showed, and now it will not power up. So I'm trying to figure out, hopefully I can get that figured out in the next 24 to 48 hours. But in the meantime, I'm going to replace the rams on the snow plow, get that finished up. That's the last thing. I ran the plow truck last night for like 2 hours. It was heavy wet snow. The truck did great. It still has that exhaust leak, but not as bad. So this is the last thing that I need to do, get these rams replaced so it's not leaking anymore. And then this thing's good to go. We ended up gaining 3 inches. From 35 inches to 38 inches with those leaf springs up front, which is perfect. So I'm gonna get this done.
Where's the GoPro? Or where's a GoPro that I can mount to my head? I hit this little tiny bank and got so much air. Look at the clouds. Dude, we were doing so good, and then the camera comes on, and we're like,
I don't think so.
By putting those 2 leafs under each side of the plow truck, we got a total of a 3-inch lift on the front end. I cut the catalytic converter out, welded a piece of pipe in. The truck now runs much better that way. I'm now in the process of getting both rams changed out, which resolves the leaks that I've had for the last year, so hopefully the plow truck will be good to go for a long time coming. As far as I know, this truck has been used for only a plow truck, and I hope it will last a long, long time. Our road is hard on everything. It's especially hard on the plow truck, but there's no way I could safely run anything bigger than that plow truck up and down the road. So for that reason, I hope the plow truck lasts a long time.
So the past few days, they've been pretty exciting, haven't they, Reed and Callie?
Yes.
What's happened?
No power.
We've had no power. And we've had lots of snow. And what else?
Busy stuff.
Running off the generator. The second generator, not the first generator.
It's called the backup.
Backup gen. Isn't it called the second gen? Oh wait, that's
motor
a
of our
truck.
What?
Backup generator. And thank goodness we had it because we were all able to spiff up. We had hot water
So
and power.
tell everybody the 3 things that we had to run off of the backup generator.
The water heater, the internet, the fridge.
Power?
So we alternated back and forth between the water heater and the freezer and the fridge and the TV. But boy, we had to have internet. Constant power on the old internet.
Yep.
I think I know what's wrong with the generator. Did some research online. Tomorrow I'm going to go get new spark plugs. I'm going to adjust the valves. I'm going to make sure that the regulator doesn't have moisture. The fuel regulator doesn't have some moisture in it that froze. The service tech's supposed to be out on Tuesday. So we're just going to hope that I can... It's a generator problem. The generator only has 240 something hours on it, so it's kind of ridiculous, but hopefully it's got to be something simple. That's kind of how I see it. So
Simple, but it happened the week that we're getting 8 inches of snow.
we've gotten more than that. I bet we've gotten 15 inches of snow since the first part of the week, and it's heavy, wet snow. And this week it's supposed to all melt off. So
And
anyway,
the sun comes out on Wednesday. We had a little bit of sun yesterday, so we were able to charge it up to 40%. We got the batteries.
It's not enough to maintain the battery bank. So we're basically just shutting off the solar system until the battery bank can be completely charged. So in the meantime, you know, it's a beautiful concept. When it gets dark, you go to sleep. When the sun comes up, you wake up, and I don't know. I thought we were past this stuff, but obviously not. Another day in the life at Red Poppy Ranch.
And the life of off-grid.
The life of the off-grid, right?
The joys of being off-grid.
Mom, I'm gonna hit you! I just slid onto your truck, help